전 세계 스포츠계 시계가 멈춰서고 있습니다.
코로나19 확산세가 잦아들지 않을 경우에
3월에는 아예 농구와 배구 경기를 보지 못할 수도 있습니다.
코로나19 바이러스가 전 세계 스포츠계를 강타하고 있습니다. 확진 선수가 나온 미국 NBA가 본격 중단.
여기에 그치지 않고 리그를 4주 동안 전면 중단하기로 결정했습니다.
코로나19 여파로 모든 프로 스포츠가 멈춰섰지만 e스포츠는 계속되고 있습니다.
일왕의 품격 반지 원정대 젠지 오늘 이기면 결승 직행입니다.
가능성이 좀 크다고 생각은 하고 있었어요.
들어가면 아무것도 못해 괴물 젠지.
한국에 들어오고 난 다음부터 이제 지금까지 계속 결승 가고 있는데 무난하게 흘러가는 대로 그냥 느낌?
결승까지 단 1승도 뒤집었습니다. 설레었냐 T1. 자, 젠지가 정규 시즌 1위로 결승에 진출합니다.
적인 승리이기도 했고 롤센스 결승 직행에서 눈물이 계속 나더라고요.
오랜만에 결승 진출이라 좋은 모습 보여드리고 싶네요.
T1 기다려라 젠지 결승으로 간다.
이번 스프링도 저희가 성적이 좋아서 결승전에 오를 거라고 생각하고 있었습니다.
그리고 이러면
항상 자신감이 중요하다 생각하고 결승에서도 이기고 싶네요.
힐리드 선수랑 같은 팀이었기 때문에 만나면 좀 더 이제 이기고 싶은 마음이 있는 것 같아요.
똑같은 적이기 때문에 제 친정팀이라 해서 막 약간 그런 특별한 건 없는 것 같아요.
앞만 보고 갑니다.
이번 시즌에 저희가 젠지 상대로 다 이겼는데
1황에서 내려와라.
다시 T1이랑 결승에서 맞붙어서 잘 이기고 싶어요.
상성이 무엇인지 제대로 한번 보여드리겠습니다.
젠지에서 이루고 싶은 건 꼭 우승을 하고 싶어요.
기대하셔도 좋을 것 같습니다.
자신감 가지고 9번째를 노려야죠.
디펜딩 챔피언으로서 꼭 이번 스프링도 우승하고 싶습니다.
왜 이리 시끄러운 것이냐? 왜 이리 시끄러운 것일까? 왜 이리 시끄러운 것이냐? 왜 이리 시끄러운 것일까? 왜 이리 시끄러운 것이냐? 왜 이리 시끄러운 것일까? 왜 이리 시끄러운 것이냐? 왜 이리 시끄러운 것인가? 앞뒤 안 보이냐 존신아? 그럼 LCK를 보는 것이야? 이게 내 마지막 멋이야? 아니 나는 그냥 멋이야? 왜 이리 시끄러운 것이냐? 왜 이리 시끄러운 것인가? 왜 이리 시끄러운 것이냐? 왜 이리 시끄러운 것이냐? 왜 이리 시끄러운 것이냐? 왜 이리 시끄러운 것인가? 왜 이리 시끄러운 것이냐? 왜 이리 시끄러운 것인가? 저쪽이야? 얘들아 승용보 올려라. TFT 모바일 구독 동작 쪼로로로 갤럭시 구독 동작 잠깐 이거 아니잖아. 호러호러 다시 오케이. 승용 올려라 얘들아. 에이 에로웨가 LCK 구독 동작 쪼로로로 젠지 구독 동작. 에이 에로웨가 LCK 구독 동작 쪼로로로 T1 구독 동작. 에이 못 떨어져 허구원 날라다타 여긴 LCK 너희 자식 얼렁키라 너희 둘레 그래서 다치 않아. 이제 그 새끼니 전략 이래 전략 여기 차이 나는 널 응지 처참히 롤 가져 롤링 니도 롤링 있던데. 자 이제 누나 이제 말고 키가 잡아 트로피를 줄을 준비해라 레디 셋 고. LOL가 SK 도도동자 또로로로 파이널 도도동자 LOL가 SK 도도동자 또로로로 파이널 도도동자 라이어 가먼 도도동자 LOL가 SK 도도동자 오리월 서리 가득 차도 동작 또로로로 파이널 도도 동작 하다하다 현장 도도 동작 아이어가 SK 도도 동작 원TT1 TG 계속 동작 버시 팩트 도도 동작 도도 동작 벌써 도도 동작 머시맨 이게 진정한 머시맨 라우야 평화자 도도 동작 다른 이곳이다 고본 동작부터 배우고 와라 머시맨은 물고 통화는 자난 루시야 내 정신에게 탕탕탕 부정하는 너의 오라버리 우르고 누군가 머시맨 구녕 굴러부르다 보니 람머처럼 후두었다 아직도 푸두둥장이 너에게 가면다 결실아 바로 수마있다 가면 보여라 가능성 뱉는다 한국어 올라와 NCT 불거져 Take it away 더블 가슴 후리는 간다 다음 강의로 너는 다 강의로 배가 하리온 부럽다 이제 승리 그거겠다 무릎 들고 이제야 와서 나는 그러겠다 니들 두드려 맞는다 그러바블이라도 그러바블 비밀내걸 이제 소득의 중심에 나왜 천치는 단장 도도 동작 온유와 서리 가득 차는 동작 또로로로 갖고 와 금은 모아 도도 동작 지켜내는 자와 도전하는 자 허나 이 순간 말은 갖고 와 노벨 평화상 도도 동작 무실런 자 머시를 자기 자신만 믿고 달려 무릎을 받고 한 걸음에 도도 동작 도도 동작 지하구와 부름 없이 해로해 LCK 그리고 Gen.G 도도 동작
전형준도 두동 등장. 2020 스프링. 우리는 정말 힘든 봄을 보내고 있습니다. 하지만 LCK must go on. LCK는 e스포츠는 계속된다. 그런 힘든 와중에도 불구하고 각자의 영역에서 최선을 다하며 결승에 오른 자랑스러운 두 팀이 있습니다. 먼저 롤드컵 우승 반지가 있음에도 불구하고 14-3-5 이후 2070일 만에 LCK 결승 진출. 명실상부 드림팀답게 시즌 내내 사실상 1위 단일팀 LCK 노 트로피 이 딱지 오늘 떼고 우승 한번 가자. 일황 젠지 또 하나의 일황 다전제 결승만 가면 우승 유일무이 팀 두 번째 3회 연속 LCK 우승에 도전합니다. 합쳐서 9번째 우승 말도 안 되는 기록에 다시 도전하는 리빙 레전드 T1. 자 과연 젠지가 6년 만에 LCK 우승컵을 들어올릴 수 있을지 아니면 T1이 젠지를 꺾고 두 번째 3회 연속 그리고 합쳐서 9번 우승컵을 들어올리는 금자탑을 세울 수 있을지. Let the finals begin. 2020 우리은행 LCK 스프링 스플릿 대망의 결승전을 사회적 거리 두기에 동참하고 계신 우리 아름다운 모든 LCK 팬 여러분의 뜨거운 환호 함성과 함께 시작하겠습니다.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the LCK here live at Lal Park. The LCK must go on with the 2020 Spring Finals here. It is me, Valdez, with LS bringing you all the action live here on the desk. We are finally back, LS. It feels so amazing to be back. That intro was so hype, especially all the Pengus. I couldn't help but just get out of my chair when I saw the Pengus. How are you doing today, Ellis?
I'm doing pretty good. I am looking forward to this matchup. Can T1 win another final? This would be their third in a row.
Yes.
And then also Faker undefeated in LCK finals except once. And the mid laner on the opposing team that one time was BDD. And that's going to be the matchup in the mid lane here yet again. And for Gen.G, it's been a long time since they've been in a final.
Yeah, we saw the number before. I think it was over 2,000 days, which is insane if you think about that. That's, 5.5 years or so, if I'm doing the math correctly in my head, which can always be a little bit iffy. But it's been a long time, as you said, and they are so happy to be back. Ruler, especially here in the LCK finals, he was overwhelmed. He was crying in the team house, as obviously this final comes amongst a very interesting kind of circumstance with the world currently with the pandemic, with COVID-19 and everything like that, but LCK must go on, and it has a different feel this time. We're here in Lal Park, and we're bringing it to you. All the players are here right behind us, so it feels like we're finally back after casting in our houses for over a month now. So it really just feels like everything is right once again, and we're going to have a real best of 5 here between these two amazing teams, by the way. The two of them just seem to be on another level from everybody else here in Korea.
And we're taking a look at the crowd right now, as there are a lot of familiar faces. Imyo Hwan on the left right there, Slayer's Boxer, one of the most historic T1 alumni. You have Joe Marsh in the crowd, and I really like what they did here.
Yeah, we got even Sungke came down. He's not casting today, but he's come to support the teams. Of course, we do have lots of cardboard cutouts of a lot of the fans that did make these fan signs from their houses, of course, very safe to cheer on their favorite teams. This is the T1 side, of course, as you can probably tell. And yeah, it's, we can't have a crowd, so we have to change things up. We have to make a different kind of a final here this time around, as this is the Gen.G side, as you can see for just a moment there.
And I think coming into tonight's series, the thing that is going to be so important is how did Gen.G manage to prepare? Because they had a week leading up to this, and they probably anticipated that it would be T1 to collide with them in the finals, whereas T1, they're coming off of a series against Dragon X, and now they're here in the finals one more time, and I don't know what to think. I don't know what we can possibly expect in this best-of-5 series, because Gen.G, they could probably put on a show by having a lot of time to have planned. Obviously, they've been the team that has had some of the more interesting picks that have come out in recent weeks, and just stylistically, these two teams, pretty good against one another.
These are the two best teams in Korea currently. I don't think there's any real conversation about that anymore after T1 clapped Dragon X there in the semifinals. And guys, we do have a special interview here, so I'm going to hand it over to Ji-sun to help out with this translation.
Welcome, everybody. First, can you say hi to the fans? So, Ambition, Wolf, the legendary players of each organizations. Hello.
Gen.G 팀복을 입고
I'm wearing this Gen.G jersey right here. Hello, this is Ambition. The legendary Gen.G player. Ambition is joining us, and also Wolf.
네네네네. 네, 안녕하세요.
Hello.
네, T1에 예전에는 협곡 안에서
Well, I used to be playing in the Rift with T1 players, but now I'm a support as a streamer in T1. Another legendary player joining us as part of T1 right here. So let's have some talk with both Ambition and Wolf.
그럼요. 네.
So ambition. So when you are part of Gen.G, well, it was not easy, or you never made it to the finals. But finally, new Gen.G squad is heading to the finals.
일단 제가 있었을 때는
When I was in there,
결승을 못 갔었는데
we never made the finals.
LCK랑은 좀 인연이 없었는데
I really couldn't have a good luck with LCK, but this time around they had a very smooth sailing split, getting the first seed, something I didn't even made it. So I hope I can also be satisfied by seeing them getting that trophy.
근데 그 아까 이제
Well,
찬영이랑 얘기를 하는데
I was having a talk with Ambition, and he said he never had something or the title after 2013. But you know, I've been there for a lot of times, and you know, T1, whenever they make the finals, they win most of the times. So I'm feeling really comfortable watching this game, thinking they're gonna win again.
근데 그걸 아셔야 됩니다.
But you have to keep this in mind. When T1 lost in the finals, the opponent mid laner was BDD. But we got Cuz, who was in the opponent. Same trade, same trade. So ambition. Will BDD will be able to repeat it, or will Faker have a failure up against today's opponent today? Why do you think so? What will be their biggest struggles?
이번에 뭐 어쩌고저쩌고 도르 이런 거 있잖아요.
I mean, you know about the BDD winning 3 awards and stuff like that?
BDD 차이.
This is the BDD difference.
근데 잠깐만요.
Hold on.
이거 좀 말 실수.
Was that a mistake? Can I take it back? I mean, you're a Gen.G streamer. It's okay to say so. You're not gonna say Gen.G's gonna lose. So it seems legit. So, mid difference, right? I said BDD difference, not mid difference. What about you, Wolf?
근데 이게 제가 평소에 이제
I mean,
상혁이를 조금 뭐 칭찬에 인색하고
I don't really praise Faker a lot, and sometimes I act like I'm a Faker hater. But Faker, whenever he goes to a big stage, and the later the split is, the better he gets. Everyone was below Faker in the end of the split, so I kind of disagree that it's gonna be a BDD difference. Plus, other laners, they're on their best form. So I want to say all lane difference. Can you be more specific? Just like Ambition did. So, to be honest, I thought about this for a lot of times, and as I just said, Ruler has never been to LCK finals. He never had a title. So, there's no answer today. We're having a bit of a trash talk over here. Are you saying Ruler doesn't have any answer? Not really, just like in different ways. Plus, in LCK, well, Faker has the most experience in LCK, and going for best of 5 for a long game, Faker, Teddy effort, you know, looks really strong. So ambition. According to what Ulf said, it's gonna be a hard game. Is there any message for the Gen.G players to cheer them up?
그럼요. 하지만 이제 룰러 같은 경우는 또 이제
But for Ruler,
전 전형적인 빅게임 헌터라고 생각을 합니다.
I want to say he's a typical big game hunter.
그래서 이번에 올라가면 올라갈수록
The higher he gets, the better he performs.
뭐 장기전 뭐 94분짜리 뭐
I mean,
승강전을 몇 번 치렀다.
no matter how many relegation Teddy has been to or how long game he has been playing,
승자가 될 거라고.
The winner will be the winner, and I believe Gen.G will be the winner.
네, 네, 들어가겠습니다.
So, once again, Ambition and Wolf, thank you for joining us for the LCK finals. And this will be a goodbye with the Gen.G streamer and T1 streamer, Ambition and Wolf. Thank you.
Thank you, G-Sun, for the wonderful interpretation and translation of that interview, as it's clear to see that there are some favorites for those two streamers of these separate organizations. Of course, that does make sense. But we are going to get into some stats here. We're going to get down to the nitty-gritty, as we first are going to take a look at T1's LCK Best of 5 match history. You can see here, guys, they are 15-3. when it comes to best of 5s. And even above that, it's just the amount of best of 5s that they have played. The sheer experience lead that they have over any other team is quite staggering here, LS.
Yeah, and I mean, you just look at the last couple that they've played in, they've all been very decisive in favor of T1. So regular season win-loss graph right there, 8-game win streak at one point for Gen.G. That's when they were really going on a tear. They were very stable, and even their drafts, they were finding a lot of edges and things of that nature. As T1 started off on a 6-game win streak, had a little bit of a hiccup, and then got right back on it towards the end. And I would say that T1 in some of their last series, obviously the one against DRX, they looked really, really good in that series. So I'm excited for what this match could have in store for us. And also, this being the climax of Spring 2020, are we going to get anything super exciting or new?
Yeah. And you were talking about the preparation that Gen.G is going to come into this finals with. Well, they're going to need it, as you can see the match history here of the two organizations. Of course, guys, not the exact same players. The two teams have changed a lot, even in the last couple of years, but it still goes to show that T1 does have the much higher hands there, 14-4 when it does come to games played, as we'll also take a look at some of the highlights from the games that they did play here in the 2020 Spring Split.
And if you guys recall, the last time that these two collided, Gen.G sort of fell apart really early on and could never really stabilize. And I don't expect something of that nature to happen again here in tonight's series. But T1, it is going to be pretty interesting, especially the way that they drafted in the series against DRX. I think that we could have much more stable games without that kind of volatility that could end up happening, as Gen.G, again, just what do they have in store for us here tonight? Because if it's going to end up like the last series, that could be some bad news bears.
That is true. The last couple of series they have played, and a lot of the other series they have played in the last 2 years, have all been losses to T1. And so they are going to have to change something up here, as you can see that the mechanics from all the players on both teams, quite impressive as we slow down a lot of the big team fights that we do have from the best of 3s that we did have from 2020 Spring. I thought it was very poignant that one of the highlights we saw there was Ruler flashing to kill Faker in the first one. Brings back memories from Worlds. As we do take a look here, just rounding out some of the highlights. So we see the Zillion and the Galio being played multiple times here by BDD. You talked about special picks. We might have to see that from BDD if he wants to try to carry his team. Ruler also a big name carry for his team, and had a fun time picking up a quadra kill this time around.
And, you know, we heard Ambition refer to BDD difference could be one of the deciding factors, and BDD has been sort of doing everything in a lot of the games this split for Gen.G. It's been really integral. I mean, he won the MVP. And the other thing about Gen.G is that as a unit, it feels like there's so much cohesion, but BDD is really the general in a lot of the team fights and a lot of the deciding plays that end up happening and unfolding inside of their team. He's been phenomenal on Azir this split, and I know many consider Azir to be the best mid laner in the meta right now. However, we've also seen BDD pull out the Vel'Koz, and that is one of the answers to Azir. So I'm looking forward to seeing that here tonight.
Yeah, I think there's no question that we will see at least one game of Azir. I don't know if we'll see Vel'Koz or maybe something else planned. We saw a bit of a Kali there in some of those games, although she's had a little bit of a spotty record here in 2020. So it is going to be interesting, of course, what will happen in the drafts and what will actually take place here between these two teams. But it's a historic moment for sure. As I'm going to be cut off here, we're actually going to go to a coach interview, so I'll be right back.
I thought it was going to be hard, but with that turnaround victory, we made it to the finals, so we're really happy. Especially, Ruler was having a lot of hard times, so he got a little bit emotional, and seeing him crying, I also got emotional. Well, I did accomplish a lot of things internationally, but in LCK, this is my first finals, so feels really new and preparing a lot as usual. Losing to T1 every time during the regular split is that because we're really uncharacteristic whenever we played against them. So the battlefield, I believe LOL, League of Legends is a game that all 5 members matter. And I believe all 5 players, not one specific player. And also really happy to see Coach Kim on a very high stage. We want to show the best we got. I want the players to play without regrets. I don't want them to just focus on winning or taking down the enemy, getting the trophy. I want them to do their best and leave no regrets behind. We made to the finals on the first split as a team, so we were super happy to make the finals. I'm not really nervous about going in. All I think is winning. I won 3 awards in the LCK awards, so I was super happy checking it out. And I want to get the finals MVP today, and I want to win 4 awards in total. Even though we lost to T1, we are the first seed. We are waiting them on the higher slot. So if we just stick to our own play, I think it's winnable. I think Teddy is one of the most worrying players, but still we got Ruler, so I don't think it's gonna be a big problem. Well, playing against Faker is not a big deal in terms of laning phase, but heading to the later game in macro, he's really good, so we have to pay attention to it. And last time I said I want Faker's number if I win, but he did not give his number, so I hope he really gives his number today if I win. This finals will mean really a lot, so I just want to perform the best, and all together we want to show the best we got. Well, at the beginning of this team, I didn't really think we would make the spring finals, but all the players were really fast in adapting and they did their best, so I think we were able to make it here. We only had 2 days after DRX series, but we didn't really go all in for the DRX series, so we have a lot of different plans, and there are some picks that have really high win rates on the side of Gen.G, but I'm thinking of opening it or closing it at the same time, so we have different tactics. Well, Gen.G is really good at laning phase, especially with the mid and jungle pressure in the early phase. So we have to bring good matchup into them. The focal member in T1 is Teddy, I guess, because he's really good at laning phase and he does so well in team fights. Well, facing him, Edgar, well, it's actually 4 years ago being the same team with him, but facing him in such a high stage finals means a lot. We won Gen.G every time, but still, we never thought Gen.G is easy, so we will do our best in every game and show the best we got. So, going to the finals for the 10th time really means a lot, making me think that I've been a pro player for a long time. After the DRX series, all the players were really happy, and we thought that we have to perform really well at the finals. I have a really good feeling today. I think I will be the one performing so well. And I don't really pay attention about my opponents, I just focus on my own performance to well. Well, I know Klid's playstyle, so I know how to play into it. And if Clid wins today, he's gonna be the back-to-back-to-back winner. So I think I have to get the title. Well, the score will be maybe 3-0 or 3-1. This is our 9th run to the LCK title, so I will do our best to show great performance.
Thank you, Ji-sun, once again for the wonderful translation of the coach interviews. Always nice to hear from BDD and Faker and the coaches. As we take a look at the points of the match, it's the grand final. Will Gen.G get their first title after 6 years? Versus will the defending champion T1 make the 9th win?
And the other thing about this is Clid, obviously he's coming off of a title win with T1 last year, and now has the chance to do it on a different team here in Spring 2020. So that's obviously a pretty big feat for him to try to accomplish. Gen.G's Guardian Edgar, we will pay it back at the finals versus Conqueror Coach Kim. We will add another trophy. So we'll see which one is going to end up actually being victorious here today. And obviously LCK Awards, the Triple Crown BDD versus the Living Legend Faker on the 9th title match history. As that is quite a thing to stare down. It's pretty impressive feat. I'm going to say I'm impressed, Valdez.
Yeah, it's pretty nice to win 9 in a row. We'll see if he can actually do it here. And we'll take a look at some more stats. As you do see the KDAs, the champion kills per minute, actually, you'll notice, are pretty low on both sides here, 7th versus 9th. So both of these teams not seeing a ton of action when it does get down to the nitty-gritty of the League of Legends today.
And I think that one of the hallmarks about these two teams when they're going to come and collide here today is that part of the reason that I think the kills per minute count is the way that it is for both of them is they're much more calculated in the team play. They're going to have explosive victories or explosive losses, depending on how you look at it. And that's what I'm looking forward to here in tonight's match, is more calculated, methodical play, but not totally sure. We're going to go into predictions in a second.
It'll be interesting to see where everybody places their numbers. Obviously, I have been hearing a lot of T1. And if you guys do look at the bottom here, you'll notice that 3 of the casters on the Korean side, Dongjun, Cloud Templar, and Conqui, all voted 3-1 victory for T1. So giving a lot of credit to T1 and how strong they do look. As we will see 3 more. It is us 3, actually. We all voted for T1. And I was the only person to vote 3-2, actually, so far.
So I was really close putting down 3-0, but the thing, 3-0, 3-1s, they're sort of in the same ballpark, but I feel like the one loss is, I'm going to sort of chalk it up to variance inside of the draft phase. That's where my
draft variance.
Yeah. That's where my one loss comes in is can they run the gauntlet 4 times and not end up coming up with the victory? And the analysts seem to be on the same page. Wadded with the 3. Well, actually,
he's not
Wadded,
the only
Lira,
one.
Jonah Strong.
Hey, it's Jonah Strong. At least he's not going 3-0 Gen.G. That would be the normal Jonah Strong prediction or vote. As we do know him. Notice that Bittery also did go for 3-1. So it turns out that 3-1 T1 is the most common prediction. Yeah. I was the only person to vote 3-2, which
Captain
is
careful.
Pretty interesting. I don't know. I feel like not a lot of people are giving Gen.G much credit at all. Actually, I do feel like Gen.G have a chance to win this. Obviously, I don't think many people would be brave enough to vote for them straight up as the champion, even 3-2, but it's going to be a close best of 5.
We have something pretty nice coming up here in a second, brought to you by the power of the collective that we're able to help make this happen. We have an interview with a special player from the LEC that made a comment on his stream a couple of days ago.
Look who it is, it's Perks!
Nice to meet you too. How are you guys doing?
어떻게 지내시나요?
네, 뭐 I'm fine. Good. I'm fine. Good. Yeah, fine. Thank you.
Good.
네. T1과 젠지가 결승전을 앞두고 있는데 두 팀 특히 LCK에 관심이 많기 때문에 두 팀의 결승전도 역시 많은 생각이 있을 것 같습니다. 자, 그러면 오늘 두 팀 어떻게 평가하고 있는지 한번 결승전 한번 예상 한번 들어보고 싶습니다.
So, this is T1 versus Gen.G, and I heard you are following LCK. So, what's your prediction for the series?
Well, yeah, I watched quite a bit of LCK to see the top teams play and the drafts, of course. And I think that T1, they draft really well. They try to have a good composition, no matter like what the lane matchup is. So they just have a good comp most of the time. And I think that Gen.G is in the finals automatically. So by standards, Gen.G should be the favorite. But I think T1 is more scary than Gen.G because of their experience and their drafts. And they have Faker, which I'm a big fan of course, as you guys might know that. So I hope that Faker wins and he says hi to me. That will be very nice. But yeah, I think T1 is looking scary. Yeah.
네, 이제 정말로 이제 상위권 팀의 경기력을 보거나 이제 LCK 팀들의 뱀픽을 좀 파악하려고 자주 본다고 하는데요. 그래서 T1이 정말 뱀픽을 여태까지 잘 해왔고 조합을 정말 잘 짜는 것 같다. 특히 라인정 상성 이런 거를 떠나서 정말 마지막에 결국 조합이 정말 좋았고 사실 젠지가 결승에 직행했기 때문에 뭐 당연하게 젠지가 조금 우세하다라고 생각할 수도 있겠지만 T1이 조금 더 무서워 보이고 또 이제 T1이 조합도 잘 짜고 뱀픽도 워낙 잘하고 경험도 많고 또 이제 페이커가 있기 때문에 좀 많이 무섭다. 그래서 T1이 조금 잘해갖고 이제 이긴 다음에 페이커가 하이 해주면 좋겠다고 합니다.
네, 퍽치가 또 페이커 선수를 개인적으로 좋아한다라는
꿈에서도 만난
소문이 또 많이 나 있죠. 그래서 아마 T1의 승리를 좀 예상하는 그런 의견인 것 같아요. 아무래도.
네. 자, 그럼 이제 이렇게 예상도 쭉 해주셨는데, 그 T1을 본인들 예상은 T1인데 혹시 응원하는 팀도 역시 T1일 거라고 생각이 드는데 맞는지 한번 여쭤봐 주시겠어요?
So you said T1 is slightly a favorite in this series, and are you also a fan of T1 or the other side?
Well, yeah, I like Teddy a lot. The reason why I think that the series will be closer than the previous one at least, is because Gen.G has Clid. And Clid is like, he always had really good early games against us. So I have like some scary memories against Rek'Sai, Clid Rek'Sai and Clid Lee Sin. But yeah, I think that T1 is the favorite. And even though enemy team has Clid, T1 is still favorite. So yeah.
네, 우선은 이제 사실 접전이라고 생각은 하긴 하는데요. 이제 그런 이유는 우선 젠지에는 또 클리드 선수가 있기 때문입니다. 이제 젠지의 클리드 선수는 초반에 너무 잘하는데요. 특히나 본인도 뭐 이제 클리드 선수의 렉사이나 리신에 대한 그런 좀 무서운 기억이 남아 있어갖고 정말 팽팽한 경기가 될 것 같다. 하지만 이제 젠지의 클리드가 있음에도 역시 T1이 이길 것 같다고 하네요.
네, 자 끝으로 그러면 우리 LCK 팬들께 한 말씀 부탁드리겠습니다.
Lastly, any message you would like to say to LCK fans?
Oh, okay, yeah. So I would like to thank all the LCK fans. I remember in Season 6, when I was getting flamed a lot, LCK fans, Dan told me, Expect told me that the LCK fans were giving me nice messages anyways. So I'm really grateful. I have like good memories of Korea as well. And lastly, at the end of that, I would like to cheer on SKT one more time to win, because we also have a very good record against SKT. So if SKT can win today, maybe we can win against them again at Worlds and beat Korea.
네, 우선은 정말 한국 팬분들께 너무너무 감사드린다고 하는데요. 이제 시즌 6 때 이제 익스펙트 선수가 정말 한국 팬들이 항상 이제 퍽치 선수에게 좋은 메시지를 많이 전달해주고 있다는 말을 전해줘서 좋은 기억이 많고 한국에 대한 좋은 기억도 정말 많고 마지막으로 한 번 더 T1이 이기기를 정말 응원한다고 하는데요. 왜냐면 자기들의 T1 상대 정적이 너무너무 좋기 때문에 T1이 우승한다면 이제 세계 대회 가서 우리가 또 한 번 더 이길 수 있기 때문에 T1이 꼭 이기면 좋겠다고 합니다.
네, 알겠습니다. 다시 한번 퍽즈 감사드리고요. 앞으로도 또 활약 부탁드리겠습니다. 땡큐 퍽즈. 땡큐.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, guys. Bye bye.
I want to extend my thanks as well to everyone involved, Jisun and Perks, of course, for joining us here for this finals. Love the banter, saying, please, T1 win and come to the World Championship where we could potentially take you out. We've got a great record against you, as perhaps T1 will take that to heart and look to take him out later on this year. As guys, we are going to get into the League of Legends here in just a moment. We're taking a look at the lineups. It's the lineups that you can expect. Life is going to be starting here on the side of Gen.G. And on the side here of T1, we do have Kana. You have to take a look at the jungle. It is going to be Cuz, as he does round the bend here. And that is pretty much it for, potential people that could be subbed in. I think this is a pretty standard lineup for game number 1.
Yeah, I wouldn't really expect too many swap-up shenanigans to come in whatsoever. And T1, this is gonna be it. Cuz versus Klid is gonna be really nice as well, especially because this is the matchup that a lot of people are looking forward to when the initial roster swaps were announced. Because a lot of people regarded it as Klid leaving was really disastrous. I was very vocal that Cuz was fantastic.
Yep.
In 2019, he's one of the best in the entire world. Key player matchup between BDD and Faker, 17 versus 21.
Yeah, you can see that in recent times it is edging towards Faker here, but 2017 and 18, not exactly the best results. Obviously, we're just taking a look at the 2 players, not the entire teams that they were on. But it still does stand to say that BDD has had success against this player. And this is the obvious key matchup in the mid lane. As you take a look at some of their really nice stats coming into this one, I feel like you'll notice that BDD has better individual stats across the LCK, whereas Faker, I suppose, more of a team player when it does come down to the way that he has been playing, because he has looked quite good as an individual here in 2020 as well.
Yeah, and you just look at all the power stats on the side of BDD. First in KDA, he's first in kill participation, and he's getting in there. And he's also fighting with his team a lot and still managing to stay alive. But again, the dynamic between these 2 mid laners probably going to be a bit different here today in terms of what they're going to try to do for their team. And then also, I really want to highlight Kana's recent performance in the Dragon X series was phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Just completely destroying Doran. So that doesn't bear very good news, I think, if you're a Gen.G fan coming in here tonight.
No, everybody's talking about the mid lane and the bottom lane matchup, but nobody's talking about the top lane. Sorry to cut you off there, LS. Because we do have a very important official announcement to make. T1, unfortunately, was late for the playoffs, and per the rules, this does mean that they will lose 2 bans, unfortunately, for the first game. After this game, it will just be back to normal, so that is the reason why T1 is going to be skipping a couple of these bans. They do get a chance to see what Gen.G is going to ban first a couple of times. You'll notice that it's double focus onto Cuz.
And this allows... So there's an interesting thing going on here, right? Where it does mean that more champions are open.
Yep.
And so in some cases, you have to really think deep about what it could maybe mean. And neither of these 2 teams really strike me as something like, oh, you must ban this against this team, or you're going to have a hard time. So, also, given that T1 are on the blue side, they're generally the ones that get the first answer to a massive power pick, but Graves is going to come out B1.
Speaking of massive power picks, LS. know you're a big fan of that, but as you were mentioning, it does really change up the way that the draft works out. And I suppose that T1, with some of the recent success of Graves and all the target fans on jungles, they say we got to prioritize Graves.
Well, Gen.G, they're locking in Aphelios early, and I know that we've talked about this a lot on the casts in recent times. So R1, R2, Aphelios, Ornn for Gen.G, massive scaling, but there are champions that can contain Aphelios and make it really problematic for him to play the game. So we're looking for basically long-range mages or even mages in the bot lane to try to take advantage of some of Aphelios' weaknesses. Obviously, the Ornn coming in, really scary. It's a multi-flex champion for Gen.G, but T1, they're going to respond by locking in Varus. Now, this can be lethality, or it can be on hit.
Yeah, it's not decided just yet, even though you were talking about the long range in the bottom side. Lethality Varus especially will provide that, as well as the Silas into the Ornn. That's a counter pick that we have been seeing just in a lane sense for a bit here at the end of the spring split, as We did see Perks talking about Klid's Rek'Sai. Well, it is going to be picked up here to start off game 1.
And now we move into the second ban phase, and LeBlanc is being hovered to get banned away because the Sylas is most likely, I mean, obviously it's a flex pick because I'm very doubtful that Korea would put Graves in a solo lane. I don't think that we would see that happen. So it's most likely going to be Sylas in top or mid, depending on where Ornn's going to go, and Graves inside of the jungle. LeBlanc getting banned away. And what T1, if they manage to actually just go AP top, AP mid, then Graves can go for the pure lethality, and then he hits like an 18-wheeler in the team fights because no one can itemize MR. As Gen.G continuing to attack the mid pool here with a Kassadin ban.
You feel like we're going to see an R4 Azir or something like that? Maybe they want to save it for R5 for a counter pick, but a couple of champions that could look decent into that as the game does come along. The Zoe, another focus on the mid lane as neither has been picked just yet, as Yasuo is going to be taken off the board here as well.
And maybe Azir just comes in here on R4 and they reserve counter pick for support. This is something we've been starting to see some teams do.
There you
and
go.
There's a lot of power to be gained there because when the enemy has to blind the support, there's limited options. Then the Enchantress and the Mage comes in and it claps them and creates a lot of problems, as well as giving the red team the better scaling components. So Thresh being hovered right now is one of the best blinds that you can go for. It's not that he doesn't have answers, it's just that he's going to probably be the least punishable, as Corki being hovered.
Yep, and it will be locked in. Corki Azir returns in spring 2020. Is 5-3 so far in the 8 games that has been picked here in the LCK so far for this year. As we did see the Thresh hovered before, it does look like Effort is really eyeing that pick and wants to pick it up this time around. See if he does lock this in with 4 seconds left. And it will be locked in. So will we see that Enchanter support? Finally, we are beginning to see that as counter picks here in the LCK.
Morgana, okay, it's going to actually be Yuumi. So Morgana is one of the answers to obviously Thresh in a vacuum, and she does have some potency against some of the other champions, but it's going to be the Yuumi for the Aphelios. And we'll have to see what rune Teddy elects to take when it comes into the game here, because Gen.G, they have a very brawler team composition. They want to get down and dirty in the mid to late transition. They're looking to go the distance. But on the flip side for T1, you have a magic damage source in mid lane, you have Sylas up there in top lane. It is difficult for them to want to itemize any sort of armor, so Graves should be sitting pretty here in the early and mid stages of the game. If this goes the distance, though, T1 have the edge up. 3.5 items, 4 items forward. It becomes very easy for their team composition to take prolonged extended team fights. And Aphelios and Azir, they're going to have some difficulty having raw engages. So, Sylas, Graves, Corki, Varus, and then Thresh at the very bottom. Both of these are going to go the distance, Valdez.
Yeah, I don't think it's any surprise that here in spring 2020, this is the meta. It has been for the latter half of the split. And as teams have caught on, a lot of the drafts have just edged further and further later into the late game kind of drafts. As we do see on the opposite side, Yuumi, Aphelios, Azir, Rek'Sai, I feel like is the one thing that does stand out there. And Ornn for some extra scaling.
And the thing about the Rek'Sai is, Rek'Sai is there for helping with early game potency, as well as converting stuff into the middle stages of the game.
Yeah. So guys, we are going to jump into game number 1 right now of the Spring 2020 final. Let's do it. Here we go, guys. No fan chants, they're just cardboard, but they're here supporting anyway, as we do have T1 up against Gen.G for our first matchup here. And as you did mention, lots of scaling on both sides. Will we just see a relatively calm early game, or is anyone going to try to rock the boat a little bit? and try to get this early lead here.
Well, it's going to be Infernal Dragon to kick things off, as both teams just playing relatively defensive. It is going to be the Comet on Teddy, so it is going to be the long-range poke Varus, and that's going to cause some problems for Gen.G because the Corki and the Varus, even the Graves in the later stages with their range, is going to be problematic for Gen.G to actually fight against once this game goes the distance. So Gen.G are the ones that are likely going to end up being on a clock. Graves doesn't need to get ahead early because he's going to have more usage for the team fights than, say, a Rek'Sai would. And that's one of the sore thumbs that's really sticking out in terms of the draft right now. So while T1 has all 5 champions that are going to be really effective in the later stage team fights, Gen.G are going to realistically have about 4.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see Clid trying to go for big knock-up engages, perhaps, into a backline, maybe try to catch one of their squishy underbelly 80 carries, maybe the Varus if he can get there, but as you did mention, he's not going to be too happy as Cuz coming in here just casually going to steal away a bunch of popcorn chicken.
Oh.
As BDD is making a little run to put down a ward. He did not expect to see Cuz here as over the wall goes Cuz. Do they have the damage? The flash forward, and there it is. First blood immediately given to Cuz at 2.5 minutes already.
Yeah, and so now Cuz, he's going to help Faker shove out the lane. If Faker doesn't have the wave clear to do so, BDD obviously has teleport. We pan over to top side, and you can see Rek'Sai not going to be able to find any sort of a gank. Kana is extremely healthy. Now BDD is going to get all of that solo XP, but down here in bot lane, Teddy and Effort, they're just going to crash, and I think they're going for a cheater recall. So lots of things happening here in this game. As we just take a look at the replay, pretty easy kill by Cuz. There's no way for BDD to really escape this.
Yep. Flash comes forward, a little bit of extra damage with the Phosphorus Bomb. As the last hit does go the way of Graves. Something to keep in mind, that late game Graves could be intensely scary as this game does come along. We did see a bit of a recall on the bottom side, but I'm not sure that they actually went for it because they're still down there and no other items were purchased. So perhaps canceling that recall just to update current state of the bottom lane, as Cuz, after picking up that casual first blood, just going to go back and farm it out.
So Rascal doing a pretty good job in the CS department up here against the Sylas, also maxing W, so not going to be going for the Q max and trying to just play a poke war against the Sylas, as we've seen some Orns attempt to do inside of the matchup. And Cuz is just going to keep power farming his Graves and basically say, this is fine. My laners don't need to win. Inaction is action for all of them because they don't have an obligation to make any pressure or plays happen. As long as they're going even, they're winning. And so creates a lot of pressure on the side of Gen.G, who typically probably wouldn't be feeling that way when you consider we have Yuumi, Aphelios, Azir, and Ornn. Those are all massive scaling champions. But T1's team compositionally, in the later stages, has more gears available.
Yeah, I mean, you just think about the way that the draft went. It was scaling pick, double scaling pick, and then T1 comes back with 2 scaling picks, and it's like, oh, okay. You know, it's clear that both of these teams are prioritizing one thing over the other when it does come to the draft. As we're taking a look here at some of the jungler stats for what does count. Kana might be in a little bit of trouble here, forced to flash the wall, but BDD still on the chase. We got an Ornn from the top side too, and now Kana, he does not have his flash, and soon he does not have his life, as 3 people will collapse and take it out. A kill earned here by Rascal.
Yeah, and that's a really big kill for the Ornn to end up getting. Helps him move towards his items. He's going to make the most out of it in regards to how these lane phases play out. Azir and Corki, you're mostly just going to be playing ping pong. So even if Azir gets that, it's not the most impactful. Rek'Sai getting it, not the most impactful. But Ornn heading towards core item completions really does change the dynamic of the top lane matchup, as Scryer Plant does end up getting hit here. And remember, Infernal Drake, first one of the game. Faker has the call available. They're just going to clear out the Blasting Wand. We'll see how everything pans out here Kana going for a trade.
Yeah, little trades up on the top side. See Grasp taken here by Rascal just to handle the Silas that is going to get in his face. And we all know champions like Graves and Olaf, power junglers farming in the jungle. They love those camps such as the Raptors, and that was the second time that Cuz was just able to nonchalant go into the enemy jungle and steal those Raptors away. You can see he's already up to 40 CS, so having a pretty fun time himself. I believe he did miss both scuttles, though, so that is one thing to highlight. You'll notice that Clid level 5 here. Will Cuz pick up 6 from this scuttle? The answer is yes, as he continues his power farm.
Well, Kana is just taking this slow. He's going to be able to pile up both of these minion waves as well as the one that is about to arrive and get the crash off onto the turret. And now Graves just continuing to just go for the power farm. You can see on the minimap, he's in his right-hand side jungle. He even has the option to actually start and solo the dragon right now, which looks like he's going to do because he knows red buff's coming up for Rek'Sai. It's unlikely Rek'Sai could do anything because Corki has mid priority, so does my bot lane. And there's no way that Rek'Sai would be able to come over and then realistically contest this without risking losing his own life. As the turret plate's going to fall down here in bottom, and things are looking really good for T1 here. Mountain Dragon rolled second. And interestingly enough, remember, this... Oh, hold on.
Oh, going for the play, but the flash answers the flash. And no kill will go down onto Faker. It's part of the reason why that Corki is often picked into the Azir. It's one way you can easily get away from that engage that is normally pretty scary against immobile champions. As we do pan back up to the top side, Kana unfazed by that early death, is going to continue taking good trades. And that is one of the things I did want to talk about the T1 team. I feel like they are so good at raising rookies that have amazing poise and never really get that nervous. We'll see if my caster cursed him here talking good, because we do have Clid coming up for the gank. Kana gonna steal it as his own ultimate, but he is dead meat up in the top side. Had to just curse him, didn't I?
Yeah, you absolutely did have to curse him, I guess, fellas.
What poise he had as he went down. I suppose it doesn't change much. We'll see how he does react to being down 0-2 in the first game of a finals. Generally can be pretty jarring for any young player.
And you can see here, Cuz now just returning to farming his blue side jungle. Also has both the control wards. Gonna end up dinging level 7, and now they're actually gonna start up the Rip Herald right now. Now Faker is on a recall, so Rascal's gonna be the one that comes over here first. BDD is gonna be able to crash in that mid wave and potentially come over. We'll have to see what Clid actually wants to do here. You can see Rascal canceled one of his first recalls, but no, they're not interested in contesting. It's going to be a free Rift Herald going the way of T1. And where you want to plant this is most likely in mid lane, because it's very hard to get damage onto Azir's turret, and that mid-tier 1 can really be a thorn in your side. And in the replay here, Ornn ultimate comes out. Kana just goes down pretty easily. Nothing too fancy about it.
It looks like Rascal actually forced a dash early with his own charge, and then immediately summoned the ultimate so that it couldn't be dashed away from. Of course, Flash was still not available, and I think the second Kana saw the ult, he's like, yeah, I'm dead. Not much he could have done there, except maybe try to steal Ornn's ultimate and use it faster to, I don't know. It was really dire straits, and as you guys could see, it did end up leading to another kill up in the top side. But we were talking about Kana and how he has turned into quite the player in his series, but Effort, another young player, he's going to go for his own play here. Doesn't have vision over the walls, so pretty much blind there. Not quite able to land onto Ruler, who still did have cleanse anyway, had it landed.
So they do get the flash out of Ruler, though, which is really key for the next team fight that can end up unfolding. And the way that it currently stands, it looks like Faker going to be able to complete his call here shortly. Also has the Monomune with a Ruby, so we'll be picking up the Phage. And not too long time, as Teddy just continuing to hard poke down here in bot lane. Winning by quite a bit in CS, but obviously Ruler's going to pick up a pretty good percent of this. BDD and Clid, they spot Cuz, and for the time being, nothing's going to end up happening, as Cuz is just shadowing.
Oh, they get the cleanse out of Ruler to end the poke down with both abilities. Cuz is down here. There are no summoners available for Ruler. Now they do have Exhaust Heal on the Yuumi, but Cuz's presence alone is enough to push them away as he's going for it, actually. The ultimate is going to go in, but he does not be able to take the Lantern as he was rooted, as Cuz may be a little bit overconfident in that play himself.
That happened.
Yes, we witnessed it.
Yeah, that was
live.
a series of events that did just unfold on our screen, and this actually should have allowed Clid to just keep power farming and then catch back up in the XP difference. And why Cuz just made this, I'm not entirely sure, because there was no universe where he ever kills Ruler there. Meanwhile, up in top lane, we are having a really heavy trade. Lost Chapter was built first by Kana. Let's take a look at this. So they could have just summoned the Rift Herald and crashed the wave, and Ruler would have lost everything. But they go for a play, and the Lantern gets denied by a control ward.
Yep.
But just very overly greedy, and ends up getting punished for it. So his clear speeds are going to be a little bit down. He's going to be under-leveled compared to where he could have been at. And that's obviously a little bit unfortunate. However, T1 should still be in a commanding position to get this Mountain Dragon. They're going to summon Herald down in bot lane. They're going to give all the gold over to Teddy to really just try to accelerate this lethal or lethality Varus. And that's obviously really valuable. Now, if you're T1, you want to roll Ocean Soul here. If you're Gen.G, you're begging for Cloud. Okay.
It's Cloud. Gen.G are going to win the roll this time, 50-50. It's got to feel pretty nice. And yeah, it's, you know, obviously not going to be as good as Ocean Soul, so that's that, but still a really nice lead taken here by T1. Wasn't as clean as it could have been. As you mentioned, just zone away the bottom lane, summon Rift Herald, keep it simple when, you know, there's a lot on the line, and there's a lot of nerves, of course. No reason to take that extra step as, oh. I love to have Jonas Strong zoomed in on the cannon that he knew he was going to miss, as it felt like Kana also felt he was going to miss that one, as he's been having a rough time up there in the top side. Gold still relatively even, only 1,000 in the lead here for T1, but still, the longer they can sit back, relax, and scale, they're going to be just happy.
Yep, and Teddy and Effort now, they've rotated towards the left-hand side of the map. Ruler is up here as well, but this is also very good for Silas because it gets him into a longer lane where he's going to be less at risk and he's going to have a lot more freedom over what he's trying to do. As Effort and Teddy...
Oh, this Rek'Sai not in a great spot here. He's trying to tunnel away. Doesn't even flash to try to get away from that one. And he's going to go down in a kill that did go the way of Faker. So just like that, another mistake, another casual pickup of a kill by T1.
Yep. And Cuz, he has the tier 2 boots, he has the warrior enchant. Now he did pick up a ruby crystal, so it looks like he wants to go for Black Cleaver. And obviously Silas and Corki not getting super insane benefit out of it. However, Varus will in a team fight, obviously with all of his lethality. Any armor shred that can come in or be granted by Grades will amplify his damage. So Cuz trying to be a little bit more of a team player this time around. There's 2.5 minutes until the Cloud Dragon is going to come up, and for Gen.G, they're down 2.2 thousand, but you do have to factor in the added benefits of the Dragons. Take a look at how this transpires. Clid unburrows really early, and then Cuz is just able to bring him down. Doesn't even need to use his R.
Yeah.
좋은데 자원 같아.
오케이.
나이스. 아빠 갈게.
많아.
이거 아직 노플이야.
그래서 패스인 거 없어?
Well, I was just enjoying the facial expressions.
Yep.
From Faker. High focus here when it does come down to the finals. As he looked, he didn't say nice, but you could see the satisfaction on his face from a kill that was relatively easy for him to pick up. as that just spells more disaster here for Gen.G starting off in this one. You mentioned the gold. Now it has increased even further. Not to mention the 2 Drakes and the later game scaling, as Shirley is going to be picked up here. Second Rift Herald of the map. It's going to be taken by Cuz without any pressure once again, as we'll see where he does aim to put this down.
Oh,
look, he's going back. Oh, no. Oh.
So that's actually a little bit problematic because I think it almost invalidates the benefit that he got from Cull. So he's now actually just on even footing.
For sure. It does. That's really... Oh, man.
Well,
you guys saw it firsthand. Even Faker makes mistakes when it comes into finals.
Not going to be the end of the world, though, by any means. 2,500 gold lead still here for T1. And if you're on the side of Gen.G, you're waiting for the ornaments to come in. You're waiting for more items to come online. But the problem is that with T1 having all the early dragons, they're fine to also just give away future Drakes if it means getting better positions in the future or waiting on even more impactful core item completions. And again, at 3.5, 4 items, the mobility and range aspect of T1 is just going to be so hard for Gen.G to interact with, and Rek'Sai can't do anything in this game.
No, I mean, he's been put so far behind. You were talking about having an impact in the early game. Well, I think he kind of lost that, as now he's just kind of sitting around, and he will be that knock-up bot that I was talking about a little bit earlier on. As Rift Herald summoned here right as the Cloud Drake is going to spawn. Let's see how T1 wants to handle this. Gen.G really making a case. They want to take out this dragon. But here comes T1, all 5 of them, but effort is going to be hit by the long-range sniper that is Ruler. The ultimate is going to come in from the Kana, actually, as Chains of Corruption comes down, and now Rascal in a ton of trouble, but he is going to be able to get away as Yumi's going to help, but Thresh alongside of the Varus is going to have enough damage. The sniper from long range to take out Rascal, and now 5v4. T1 will look to push.
And so T1, now they're not going to be able to get the mid-tier 2 turret, at least not just yet, but they're going to be able to pillage the red side jungle of Gen.G. And so even though Gen.G get a Cloud Dragon, what does that really mean for their champions? Not much. 10% ultimate CDR, not really impacting anything on this game. So at the very end of it, the map state still benefits T1, and they make out more inside of this team fight. So Rascal goes for an ultimate, but there's no way you can see BDD clicking away. He's not going to go for any sort of Shurima shuffle. Kana locks up Ruler with the ultimate, but Effort flashes forward. Lots of damage coming out onto Ornn, and then look at the piercing arrow by the Varus, dealing so much damage. And this is going to be the song and a dance that Gen.G don't have a reliable answer to. The only way to reach the long range on the side of T1 is going to be the Ornn or BDD if he finds a miracle engage. But Corki has Valkyrie. Varus can obviously flash away. There's lanterns too. It gets very difficult to get on them. So Gen.G are going to have a really high ask of themselves as we are now in the mid game. Ornn is level 13. He's just waiting to complete the second Ornn item. He'll ornament that one straight up.
Yeah, when he does complete the Sunfire Cape, that should be coming out here. Klid does have a Yumi on his back at all times, it seems, as not really sticking around the 80 carry here is Life just yet. Is helping gain vision with the jungler. And we have seen BDD, though, on this Azir pull off some insane engages, even against similar teams such as this. It seems like he has a really great knack for knowing, you know, what is gone, you know, who has Flash, who has Valkyrie, who has mobility, when do I go in exactly, and sometimes he'll wait until the very last second to make it happen. So, still keeping my eye on him to see if he can do it. Ruler also picking up a kill, but pretty far behind in terms of CS onto Teddy at this point. So T1 absolutely sitting here in the lead. You can see the most gold on the map will go the way of Teddy and Faker. basically the same amount, and then Rascal is number 2. So that really tells you what the deal is there in the bottom lane for Gen.G.
Well, just a lot of wave clear happening. Baron is live, and yes, Gen.G can clear it pretty quickly, depending on what guns Aphelios has available to him. They also have, obviously, the Azir. They can tank it for days with the Yuumi. So that is something that T1 needs to be conscious of, as we're going to enter into a bit of a lull state, but no Forbidden Love here today.
No Forbidden Love. This is all on the books. Everybody knows about this love. As you can see, there was a giant wave crashed into the bottom side. It did look like Rascal got there for the majority of it, but kind of not going for a freeze or anything like that with his bottom lane turret still available. He's just going to push that one in, as we do have a minute and a half until this Cloud Drake will spawn up. And T1 are just fine with that.
Yeah. They have the 2 lethality items right now on the Varus. Obviously has another serrated Dirk. And you can see the Executioners. There's even an argument for him here to just go Mortal Reminder and sit on that last serrated Dirk. And you would just get the pen there, you would get the Grievous Wounds that Varus can apply to multiple members inside of a team fight. Sylas very close to his core item completion, as Graves looks like he's going down a defensive item route as he picks up a Null Magic Mantle. Corki sitting really pretty right now. And Rascal is probably about to ding level 14. He's been 13 for a little while. That's going to be the Molten Edge most likely handed over first. And then Obsidian Cleaver will most likely come in later for Clid.
Yeah. That's what you would have to imagine is the order of things here. Still struggling to hit that number, though, as he was in the bottom lane trying to get CS, trying to get XP, but he had to actually group up here in mid lane for the team fight. So unsure whether he'll hit that before this Cloud Drake fight happens. But look at T1. They say, sure, go for the Cloud Drake. We don't care. We'll take Baron under your noses. And this is something you were talking about. They can give away 1, 2, even 3 Cloud Drakes, as long as they don't give the soul away, because they will have higher value. As, okay, gonna land that Chains of Corruptions, the poke coming out from Teddy alone, as they have pulled off the Dragon, and Clid is incredibly low. Rascal has to face check it, but the poke is huge from the side of Teddy. And T1, as Baker over the wall, immediately gonna get exhausted here, ends up baiting out the Ornhorn.
So this is sort of what we're talking about, is these long-range assault arrows and repositioning.
The follow-up engage, they're going to find Ruler, but he flashes away. He's able to get out of this one. Kana getting sniped now. With Ruler at full health, that Yuumi is helping out so much, but that's another big poke down onto the Aphelios so far, as hook after hook will sail wide.
And the thing is that there's no reliable answer to Varus. He's just going to keep shooting these arrows, and it's so hard to get onto him because of the threat.
Because he's looking for the steal this time around. He's not going to get it. That's 2 good smites out of Clid, but they do get the Azir. Now, what will this mean for Gen.G? What will they lose as T1 5v4 once again? But much healthier than the first time it did happen at the Cloud Drake. We're looking for more, but so far it is just the enemy jungle.
Yep. Cuz gonna steal away the Raptors right here. And now, there's no reason to really rush the Baron because you know that BDD has teleport available. And now Gen.G, they're going to be respectful with their approach here. They have Tremor Sense, so they can tell when certain things are going on. So it looks like T1 are going to be content to maybe just take a reset here. Sylas waiting on a pretty big item completion. We'll take a look at this one more time. Gen.G, their members are very low on HP. Smokescreen comes out, and it's a very obnoxious ability that I think a lot of people don't give it enough credit for. Cuz says something I can't say as he shoots the ultimate over at Azir, gets the kill onto him, and at least brings a small victory to T1 there, as the gold lead now 5,000, and again, it's only Cloud Drakes. This doesn't do anything.
Not anything that's good enough to carry Gen.G to a lead at this point in time, at least. As Clid, he's been on point tonight with the smites. You can see those fingers are ready to go with the instant reflexes that he has been pulling out here. Gen.G clearing out vision around the Baron once again, as it is a bit of a song and a dance once again. before we do get into another Cloud Drake fight, most likely, as Rascal, he did hit level 14, upgrades the Molten Edge. You can see Rek'Sai working on the Black Cleaver to be eventually upgraded. As now it's T1's turn to sidle in and take a little bit of that vision away.
So this is going to be the scariest point in the game for T1. They're waiting for the utility items to start coming in. You can see Graves finally has the Hex Drinker, and Silas still apparently waiting. Obviously he's very stunned. Okay, there's the Luden's Echo. Finally picked up by him. So his next item probably could either be the stopwatch, or he just starts moving towards the Banshee's Veil. That could end up coming in as Varus, Edge of Night. These are the item pickups that start making things more problematic for Gen.G, as here we go.
Oh boy, quad BDD in the back there as Rascal, he's a tanky boy, but BDD not so much. Here comes the Ornhorn from the sign of Silas. As now the follow-up coming in here from Rascal. Nobody really going for it yet, but the Moonlight Vigil does come down, but BDD and everybody is so zoned away by this Varus, who is doing insane poke damage into the back line. And he's got, you know, Yuumi she's working overtime.
Yeah.
You know, she's the nurse. She's an essential worker right now for this team and is really keeping everybody on their toes and on their feet here so that they can stick in the fight, because if it were not for that healing, I feel like Gen.G would have already been pushed out of this game and out of this fight in the mid lane.
And the thing is Yuumi is basically a walking Pokemon Center right now, and she's so integral to Gen.G trying to resist the Varus poke. The gold lead, however, continues to widen. We're at 6,000 now here in this game. Faker going to be really close to the completion of the Infinity Edge, I would imagine, as Graves now himself picking up an Executioner's Calling just to add that much more. Grievous wounds inside of the team fight for the targets that maybe Varus can't get on top of himself, as Teddy's most likely going to pick up a Mortal Reminder next, I would assume.
Yeah, you would have to assume, with the items that he does have at this point, that will be the next objective, as Cloud Drake number 3 of the game is on the cards here in 45 seconds. Is T1 going to put up a bit more forward of a fight, or are they just going to let this one go? As Chains of Corruption this time around, they will go wide, as they have been pretty on point so far in this game.
And just lots of posturing happening right now. Gen.G, this is going to be their closest fight that they could possibly have against T1. And it's going to be over the 3rd Cloud Dragon, which they do win it. It does bring it to Soul Point. So that is a bit of an upside. Ornn is the main piece of Gen.G's comp that's keeping them in this right now, because he is so tanky. He can take multiple shots, and his Ornn ultimate is the real core piece to a victory. Oh, man.
Do they know he's in here? Okay, Faker's not going to do any crazy backline shenanigans, but he does catch Clit off guard. And with the package that he has available, he can reposition at any time. As you can see with the home guards from Teddy with the teleport, he's going to be able to get in and have that speed boost to land another one onto Ruler, who again, doesn't seem to be too unhappy about it, as he is at full health nearly instantly thanks to Yuumi.
And it looks like there's just lots of posturing right now, but Cloud Dragon is up. You can see that top wave.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of value there. Faker's going to pick up the red buff. That'll be very valuable for this team fight. Clid is level 12. He's
oh, here we go. Clid. He's just so squishy, and he's going to be burst down in the back. As now, Ruler, he doesn't have a Yuumi to help him out this time. His life was there in the front line, and this is absolute disaster for Gen.G. As immediately 3 of them, 4 of them even, are going to go down. Kana looking for the kill, as that took quite a while. And Ruler did end up picking up the kill. I'd like to say, don't chase the Aphelios into his own jungle. As now Cuz looking to just solo down the Drake. He is going to have a bit of a help from his friends, as another big team fight going to go heavily in T1's favor.
Yeah, and Ruler does end up picking up the kill there. Now the Cloud Dragon does go the way of T1. As let's take a look at how this all transpired. There's no Phalanx on the side of Gen.G, and you can see Clit's coming over here looking for the Tremor Sense. to see if they're on the Baron or doing anything. Everyone's spread up, and they just get completely annihilated in this team fight because they're all spread out. And there's no way for Ornn and Yuumi to protect against everything that was coming their way. And then Kana, you got to learn how many years it was.
Yeah. A lot of years went into that one, as Ruler now 2-0. And if there ever were to be a savior on the side of Gen.G, Ruler would be one of them. We haven't seen much out of this Azir just yet in the game. We haven't seen any miracle engages. We haven't seen any backline access. It's mostly just been a couple of them zoned away from every single fight. That is not good news. We have Azir and Aphelios as your damage dealers. You'll notice the side lane focus out of T1 so far. Kana has, he hasn't had the cleanest game, but he's been really good with manipulating the side lanes as, oh boy, Clit is caught again. He is going to barely live here as Cuz also caught a little bit with the lantern on the other side of the wall, as Rascal not quite able to land that one. Desperately trying to find anyone on the side of T1.
The thing about this is you can just sort of see the mobility on the side of T1 inside of the team fights. All their champions are very agile, and it makes it very difficult for the team composition of Gen.G that wants to fight as a phalanx and as a slow-moving tank, essentially. Just can't really achieve that. And with Varus getting stronger and stronger, there's no aid that's really coming to Gen.G. There's no item breakpoints in the future. And if you want to talk about a breakpoint, we have Stoneplate on Ornn this game, which isn't going to really be doing anything because even if he activates it, it's T1's whole fights are fought around cooldowns. So if he activates it, T1 just has options on how they want to use their abilities. And it doesn't really do a whole lot against poke.
No, and you're looking at a quirky Varus on the enemy side, so obviously not going to be too happy about that. But that is the pickup regardless. He is going to be that immovable tank you were talking about. As look at the way T1 are playing around Rek'Sai. You can tell they've done this more than once, guys. As everybody's standing still, even Cuz directly in the middle of the river in no brush is going to just go ahead and stand still. As Cloud Drake's still 2 minutes away, still a lot of posturing around this objective.
The Mortal Reminder was completed on Varus, and probably going to be Duskblade of Drakthar as his next item, also as the Boots of Swiftness. As we can even see Mortal Reminder going to be coming in on Graves here shortly as Rascal.
Okay, someone's got a face check, and it's Stoneplate Ornn. It's one way the Stoneplate can be useful, as now it's up to Kana to try to do a better impression of the Ornn. They're actually going to take down the turret here, but T1, okay, now it's Rascal's turn in the front line. They're trying to burst down Cuz as they get the knockup, as immediately from downtown is Aphelios, but they don't have the damage, as even Faker is going to live. He was in the front line just stoning the rest of the composition away, especially VDD. As more and more poke going to come down, and everybody on the side of T1 will once again survive.
And T1, they are in such a commanding position now. It's a 9,000 gold lead. Cloud Soul coming up in 50 seconds, and as if they weren't already very nimble inside of the team fights, they're going to get even more so with that Cloud Soul, as now they're starting up the Baron, and there's no approach by Gen.G, as Teddy is basically Legolas, gatekeeping right here.
Look at him, it's 1v5. 1v4 in the enemy jungle. And he knows he has a lantern and flash if he ever needs to get out of there. He is the protector with the mighty bow. As we will take another look here at the fight.
And the lockup onto Rascal, he activates the Stoneplate, he runs away with the Yuumi, and then again, look at Rek'Sai, can't do anything in the fight. He doesn't know what to do as everyone forms a concave on the side of T1, and it's too hard for the Phalanx to Gen.G to fight against because everyone's ranged, they're all poke, and they have so much repositioning. So it's very difficult for Gen.G to find any sort of an opening.
And now Gen.G desperate, they go for the Cloud Drake and they will pick it up. but it looks like they're going to lose an inhibitor at the same time. Lantern, simple move. With the Baron, T1 say we can push waves faster than you can take Cloud Drake. And that they will. They take mid inhibitor, they're going down top. And they're looking for yet another engage here effort with his flash. He does need it.
Oh, and Yuumi, again, she's going to be working overtime here. Nurse Joy.
Scenes of corruption.
Oh!
Yep, that was one arrow. One arrow to the face, and he has Mortal Reminder, so he makes Yuumi's job even harder. Protesting the heals on the side of Gen.G as in comes the ultimate out of the Ornn, but from downtown in their own base is Kana. Hello. They're going to take down that turret and try to zone away Kana, will Gen.G, but it just looks hopeless on their side. They cannot stop the onslaught that is T1.
Well, T1 now, they've raised 2 inhibitors. They extend the gold advantage to 12,000. And there's just no way for Gen.G to get back in this game outside of a miracle Ornn ultimate, followed by a 4 or 5-man Shurima shuffle. Just absolutely unrealistic situation. So, I don't know what to tell you, Valdez. This one is looking like T1 has this one in the bag. As Corki at 4 items, you can see Silas, not sure what his 4th item is actually going to be, as he has the Blasting Wand and he does have an Amp Tome. So he has options. He can go for the Banshees. No.
Merlin Omicron? Sounds good to me.
Well, Corki in a TP right back into the fray, gonna use the teleport. Also has a Vampiric Scepter now, so has a little bit of sustain added into him.
Yeah.
And this is looking like this could be the final siege. You can see Ornn is going to make one last stand with his ultimate, but this is it.
Yep, I love how carefully T1 play it. Even Teddy, whenever he knows that a potential engage is coming, he doesn't overdo it. He knows his strengths, but he also knows his weaknesses. With Edge of Night down, he will say, okay, let's just wait. 30, 40 seconds, get it back. Let my teammates push. Of course, Faker on the Corki has a lot more mobility. The base of Gen.G is in tatters. So they can just take this really slowly in through the bottom lane as Ruler is going to be knocked up, but that's inside the base. Nobody can really follow up on that one. Faker ever so slowly chipping away. As this time around looking for Cuz. They will get the knockup, but again, no follow-up. That is not the miracle Ornn ultimate we were looking for to win the game. As at this point, I think it's going to take more than just one.
Yeah. And the other thing here, though, is that Gen.G, they do have 3 Cloud Souls, but you can see it's still too far away for Ornn to get his ultimate up again. So, 3rd inhibitor going to go down here. T1 does manage to raise it, and now they're going to back off. So, they have a 7v5 enabled. And the other upside is, if you look at their levels, 17 on Katna, 17 on Cuz, 18 Faker, 18 Teddy, 14 Effort. On the flip side, Ruler 16, BDD 17, Clid is 15, Rascal 17, what have you. So, even though triple inhibitor can sometimes actually be a dangerous thing in that you give your opponent a lot of XP and gold that you're then not making access of, T1 doesn't have to worry about that. They're so far ahead in gold, and all their champions are basically at max level.
They're fine. I mean, they're just sitting pretty at this point. As Faker just going to farm a little bit more, looking for that last item in his build to build on top of the Vampiric Scepter here. And Cloud Drake in 30 seconds. At this point, with the pressure that the 7v5 does provide, they could just potentially go for it. But you can see all of the lanes now pushed out. Gen.G looking to make a 5v5 happen. Really, the question is, will T1 give it to them? Will they say, okay, let's fight? Because I'm not sure that they have to. They have so much pressure on the map. And you can see that T1 say that as well with their body language, with their champions. They're just going to back away. They say, what are you going to do? Force an engage when we're halfway down the lane? You can't catch me.
And well, BDD, I mean, he has teleport available, but yeah, Gen.G, they realize, yeah, we have to give this up. And so that's going to be the Cloud Soul going the way of T1. And Baron coming up in 10 seconds. That'll probably be easily captured by them as well. As we're just taking a look at the CDR, I guess, on the ultimate. It's only 20%. So, again, none of these champions are champions where you're going to see them potentially cast their ultimates twice in a team fight. And generally, even to have that happen requires 3 or 4 Cloud Souls. So, T1 now posturing. Corki, he has the package. And here we go. That's very fast.
Yeah.
It needs to be a hero. Oh, there's the blast cone, so...
They see it. They see this is happening, and that means that Cuz and Faker will back away. No chances taken here by T1.
Unlike Fnatic, T1 will respect the blast cone and walk away from it, as there's no reason to really coin flip the game here. Now, Cuz does have the option to start this back up.
Now, there's vision here. There's actually just a ward straight in the pit, so they absolutely know this is happening. BDD has TP. It doesn't look like T1 were aware of that until just now when Gen.G just immediately walked up to them. And so T1 once again just going to go for a reset. Again, no risks taken, as a lot of inhibitors coming up here. We only have 2 minutes on the bottom inhibitor until all 3 are available. And this game is going to go the distance. We're already here in game number 1, 42.5 minutes.
Well, it is absolutely going the distance, but things are just getting better and better for T1. Obviously, Elder Dragon coming up in 4 minutes. That is a way out for Gen.G. That's a potential Hail Mary to try to win the team fights, but if T1 gets it, the game ends almost instantly. As here we go.
Oh, they're trying to bait Ruler in. Look at Teddy's positioning from the right side. He lands that chain of corruption. Ruler is going to have to cleanse that one away. And now Kana in the front line. Good timing on the Zhonya's, and the poke is huge, but they still get the kill. And it's 5v4 now for Gen.G. That is the one stepping stone that they have to take here to slowly come back in some of these fights. You can see that they're trying to zone away Klid as the jungler, as immediately T1 are going to try to start this up once again, but teleport available now on the side of Ornn, and they are going to have to back off of this objective once again.
And it's really surprising. T1, they're being very respectful of the Rek'Sai, but Cuz is the one with the level lead and also the execute priority on the Baron with the Graves. He's going to be much more in control of the speed of the burst. And so even in these dangerous situations, if T1 would get it, the game would end. If they would lose it, the game wouldn't necessarily end. However, they are erring on the side of caution. Kana does have teleport. He's going to be able to come in here in just a second. Cuz probably should eat the honey fruit. He's missing some HP, but no, he's just going to start it up.
Yeah, this time around, T1 saying enough is enough. And with so many members outside of this fight, they are just going to be able to take it down. The spike comes down from Cuz, as now Kana is back with a vengeance, as you cannot get away from every single CC. Can Eladios do it, as he is doing insane AoE damage to that backline? But his ultimate now is down, and Klid is also down. And it doesn't look like Gen.G have the firepower to take it to T1 in this game.
And it doesn't look like Eladios is going to be able to carry them over the finish line here, as that's Baron. This Baron, if by some, I don't even know, some miracle, T1 does not end the game here. If Gen.G can somehow manage to sustain, even though one of their turrets are on their last leg. I don't think it's possible, Valdez, but who knows? Elder will be captured by T1, as the Baron does convert into that. So, T1 should 99.999, repeating of course, should win the game.
Well, thank you for that, LS. You gave us the stat, and I believe you are correct. As this time around, Kana, he's got Emperor's Divide. He's going to be looking for members. Ruler desperately trying to do it, but he's going to get hooked. Does have a Yuumi on his back, but the Nexus just going to be focused down. GG T1 will take game number 1 over Gen.G.
And we outlined it inside of the draft phase that there would be pretty obvious problems for the Gen.G team composition. And I'm really excited to actually see this kind of collision with team comps, Because it was just the other day I was actually talking to the Magic World Champion, PVDDR.
Oh, yeah?
About draft differences, and sometimes both can have a lot of scaling, but one just has a little bit more, and it feels almost impossible for the one scaling team comp to ever catch up to the other. And the only thing that could have bridged the gap here would have been the Ornn. And it wasn't able to in this game. The Concave's too problematic. The repositioning available on the Champion's really too problematic. And Gen.G didn't get any sort of an early lead that might have been able to offset it in the early stages. In fact, they fell really far behind. Rek'Sai was a sitting duck all game. And, well, that was a game number one.
That was a game number one, and you can see why that priority on Graves does come through. There is a very obvious kind of idea in T1's mind when it comes to these drafts, as the crowd, of course, does go wild after that win for T1. And the Graves comes out first, and then they've got scaling all behind it. The Silas answers the Ornn, and you can see just the insane amount of damage that the Varus was able to do at the end of the day. Almost 1,000 damage per minute from Teddy's Varus. And he was the key player on everybody's mind, especially on the side of Gen.G. Everybody mentioned Teddy. You know, it wasn't all about Faker. It wasn't all about Cuz or anyone else.
Yeah.
Everybody mentioned Teddy. They said he's so clean in the laning phase, and his team fighting is impeccable. Just an all-around great player, and he really brought it to them that time with the Varus.
No, he really did, and I think that the Varus should be a pick that is looked at and heavily contested in tonight's series, or just otherwise outright banned away. And interestingly enough, because T1 were on the blue side when they had the two bans stripped from them, doesn't impact them as much, because red is usually the one that is strapped for the bans, but they open with B1 Graves, which I don't know if you're Gen.G how you anticipate that.
Yeah.
And then, despite opening B1 Graves, also won the draft and outscaled the opponents, and just had a better team comp overall, so that's a very worrying thing.
It is. I mean, you gave Gen.G Aphelios and Ornn, and you're thinking, wow, I mean, great duo. They can scale up really well together. And then T1 say, nope, we got the answer. But guys, we're going to take a quick break before we get to game number 2 of the finals.
오케이, 끝날 것 같아. 20초야. 웨이브 넣으면 끝나. 타워. 웨이브부터. 웨이브.
잡을게.
타워.
아질 들어온다. 이제 아질 들어온다. 아질 조냐.
퍼져.
하나 남았다. 웨이브 지어봐.
야 싸움 보자.
야, 앞에. 그만해.
야 점사할게. 점사.
나이스. 야, 마지막에 앞에 노리지. 가베이.
아, 노프렌즈 올랐어.